family, we're going to talk about exuding and accentuating elegance. So go ahead and let us know where you're hailing from. Check in, family. It's so important to see everybody. Hello, Brother Roger says, long time no see. Where you hailing from, Roger? It's so good to see you. Keep checking in, family. It's my great pleasure to be here. We are going to talk about exuding elegance and accentuating elegance. And the reason why we're doing this is because I am on a mission. And my mission, honestly, is to bring back elegance, grace, and poise in our ladies. And the reason I'm doing that is because women and men are different. And the more women exude femininity, the more masculinity arises in the man. And men rush to take care of you, provide for you, and protect you. So it's important for everybody to realize that men and women are different and that we all have our different callings, our different roles, our different positions in life. And as Brother Roger says, I thought you said modesty. He said Monterey, California. Oh, he's coming or hailing from Monterey, California. So hello, keep checking in, family. Men and women are different. And we have two roles that are very important in nature, and they work interdependently together. And we're going to get into that. But before we do, keep checking in. Let us know where you're hailing from. And put in the comment section if you think there's a difference between men and women. Is there a difference, or should we have a society in which the roles blur, or they're similar and they should actually operate as the same? Let us know what you think in the description section. So again, we're talking about femininity, elegance, and grace, and I'm going to get really deep into it so that I can help my ladies. Now, family, we live in a world where the lines have blurred and men and women seem to be competing. However, this is not normal. As a matter of fact, a universal principle is the principle of femininity and masculinity operating together in how do you say it? Synergetically and interdependently relying on one another, ebbing and flowing together. This is something that we've gotten away from, but I am encouraging people to get back to. So while you're getting your pens and your pencils and you write in the comment section, if you think this is true or not, that the feminine principle and the masculine principle are the same, or are they different, then I'm going to look at my notes and give me 1 second. I'll take a drink and then we're going to get right into it. Ladies, the more femininity and elegance you exude, the more masculinity he exudes. So the more feminine you are, the more soft you are, the more elegant and graceful and refined you are, the more masculinity a man exudes. So if you're coming across in nature and in the world as being the same as a man, and not needing a man, not needing his covering, his protection, or even his presence, then a man will look at you as being just another contributing member of the tribe, another contributing member of the society that adds to the pot. He won't look at you as something to protect, someone to shield from danger, to cover. He won't look at you as being someone to provide for. So it's important for us to operate in our divine nature, or our natural state of being, as being refined, elegant, soft, dainty ladies. Now, I know that we already have characteristics that are considered soft, but I want to teach you how to refine them, how to exude these characteristics, and how to accentuate it. So first, let's talk about what graceful means, or what elegance means. Elegance just simply means that it's a quality. Elegance is a quality of being soft or stylish in appearance and in mannerisms. So this is a quality that's been reserved for ladies, because men have the quality of being aggressive, doers, workers, They do the heavy lifting. They do the grunt work for ladies. They are dominant. They conquer. It's in their nature to do this. And as long as women continue to come to the table as being equal to men and the same as men, then men will not value that part of him. He'll value himself, but he won't necessarily see it necessary to cover you or to protect you, because again, as if you exude masculinity and masculine behavior, that's the way he's going to treat you. So elegance is a quality. It's a quality of being graceful in style and mannerisms. Elegance is the difference, or the antithesis of being aggressive, of being hard. Elegance is more dainty and soft. So we're going to talk about the outward expression of elegance right now, but the inward expressions of elegance would have to do with being healed, being calm, refined, and all that from within. And I recommend you look at my two videos, one called The Art of Softness and one called Poise. So keep checking in, family. So we're talking about exuding elegance, emanating elegance, letting it come from your pores, being radiant, having it ooze from your being or your body to give out, to give forth. How can you exude elegance and softness? First of all, if you look at my video on softness, I talk about meditating and I talk about getting counseling and healing and all of that juicy stuff. But you have to do that work first before people can actually see it on the outside. But people should see this coming from a mile away. They should see your elegance. They should see your grace. They can see this. They should see this, these vibrations or this frequency coming from you that says, I'm refined, I'm soft, I'm graceful, I'm a woman, I'm a lady, I'm dainty. And we're going to get into it now, how you can do that. One of the ways I said you can highlight the elegance that a lady has is by her poise. So I recommend again that you look at my video that I did 10 days ago called Poise. And I'm just speaking quickly, summarizing elegance before I get into what we want to talk about today, another way you can accentuate it. But one of the ways you accentuate grace is poise, and that would be how you sit, stand, and behave. Poise is the manner in which you conduct yourself. It is a way of being refined. When you look at the etymology of the word, poise actually means weight, as in being stable and secure, as in having your body under control, your mind under control, your menche or mentality and emotions under control. So you're moving in a controlled manner. Everything is weighted or controlled and stable, emotionally stable. You're walking stably. You're moving with elegance and grace and stability. So 10 days ago, we talked about poise. And what I said is we're going to look at poise in three ways: in your posture, in your gesture, and in your expressions. So let me summarize that right quickly. Poise in your posture, gestures, and expressions. What I want you to do, ladies, is to imagine you have a string coming from the top of your head, pulling everything tightly together, lifting everything up, your head, your shoulders, your chest, your body, and raising you up until you sit very stably. And when you imagine the string coming up and pulling you tightly, it helps you to raise up your vibrations and your body and even your thoughts and emotions. This is why in etiquette school, they tell you that it's important for a lady to sit a certain way, because when she sits a certain way, she is showing herself to the world as being someone that has composure. So one of the ways you can practice this is putting books on your head and walking back and forth stably. Because remember, the etymology or the origin of the word poise is weight. So you walk back and forth with the books on your head so that you can walk straight and with refined, graceful, elegant movements, not as a slouch, not clacking your heels, not stomping, keeping your legs close together. And when you sit, this will help you sit when you practice with books on your head, because you will sit in a stable manner, weighted, controlled manner. Ladies, we sit up straight and we lift our shoulders up. The way you can practice this is to move your shoulders this way, like we used to do when we did aerobics, or if you still do aerobics. And then you keep doing this so you can loosen it up, and it will put you in a state of mind to hold your shoulders like this. This is a controlled manner in which to sit. It's an elegant way to sit. Your stomach is tucked in. Imagine that string pulling everything together. Your breasts are lifted up. Your chest is lifted up. Your stomach is tight and held in and lifted up. And your head is stable and at the same level as your shoulders. If you are a woman of a certain age or an elder, you might walk with your head up because it just represents confidence. Okay. The reason why it's important to always sit, walk, and stand with good posture and poise is because you're emanating confidence, you're emanating stability, you're emanating security, and that is the opposite of being a slouch. Now, the world looks at a person who slumps over and is careless about the way he or she sits or stands as being a slouch, a lazy person, a shiftless person. Okay, someone that lacks control. And this is not what we want to project into the world as ladies, because ladies, especially those who desire marriage, if a man sees you as slouching and slumping over, then he will imagine that that's the way you conduct your emotions. That's the way you conduct your life. That's the way you conduct your business and your household. And every man that I know desires a woman that will conduct his business, his life, his legacy with excellence and precision. He doesn't want to slouch. Nothing in the world or no being, nothing in nature is slouchy. Because if you're slouchy and lazy and lackadaisical, you can get eaten. You can get taken advantage of. So we sit and stand and walk with good posture and poise. So we spoke of exuding elegance and poise in the way that you sit, stand, and walk. You should be walking with one foot in front of the other with grace and swaying from side to side, but slow, controlled movements, not abrasive movements, not rushing or bombarding in a place, or like I said, no clacking of the heels. That's not graceful. Graceful is being refined. It actually means, when you look at the etymology of the word or the origin of the word, graceful actually means pleasing or aesthetically pleasing. So we're on a mission to teach women how to be elegant, graceful, and refined, because this is your nature. And as you practice this and exude these qualities, again, the more feminine you are and elegant you are, the more masculinity the men around you will exude. A man rushes to take care of the woman who is controlled, who is dainty, who is refined, who is soft and elegant. So poise and your posture, poise and, what did we say? Your gestures. What are your gestures? Your movements, how you move your head, how you move your hands, how you move your neck. Okay, so you want to be soft, refined, graceful. When you move your head in acknowledgement, you nod and smile. Nod and smile. That's exuding elegance, because what the world needs more of is more listening and acknowledgement and less speaking. There's a scripture that says, "Let thy words be few." There is a statement, a wise statement that says, "Only speak when speaking improves upon the silence." This is something that I encourage women to do. Only speak when speaking improves upon the silence. Okay, we'll get back to that when we talk about gestures more. So, gestures in terms of how you move your head should be very soft, an acknowledgement, and graceful. And another way you can move as a refined, elegant lady is to tilt your head this way. Because when you tilt your head or take pictures with your head slightly tilted, you're releasing pheromones. So they say that in pictures, people who pose or ladies who pose with their head slightly tilted get more acknowledgement or more looks. They are more what's prevalent. They are more, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, I can't think of the word, it escapes me. Popular. Popular. Pictures with the ladies moving like this are more popular and noticeable because, again, you're releasing hormones or pheromones. I'm available, I'm dainty, or just I'm a lady, I'm soft. And that natural chemical that releases from your body is exposed and it comes out or oozes from your pores. Remember, we're talking about expressing femininity and letting it ooze from you or accentuating it. My grandmother had a picture that I love of herself doing this. And it's such a soft, feminine picture. So, again, your expressions, excuse me, your gestures should be soft and feminine, ladies. And a man actually responds to you when you're soft and feminine and when you expose your pheromones or when you tilt your head in acknowledgement. Also, gestures, meaning the way you carry your hands. Your hands should not be pointing at a man. You should not be pushing someone in the head. You should not be cussing with your verbiage or even with your hands. You can, the way you use your hands, your nonverbal cues should be graceful and elegant. People have often commented about the way I hold my hands. If you don't know how to hold your hands, then you can hold them in a prayer position, you can clasp them, or you can hold them like this. I often hold my hands like this, either here by your chest, or even below at your belly button, like this or like this, or in a prayer position. Look at first ladies, the way they hold their hands. Exuding elegance. The more elegant you are, ladies, the more men attend to you. Not only men, but the more the world attends to you. Why? Because we're living at a time where so many people are rushing, so many people are aggressive, so many people are bombarding you, and they're expressing themselves in a way that's very harsh. So to see a lady move elegantly really incites a man. It inspires a man. When he sees that yumminess and juiciness come out in the way you express yourself, it makes the masculine principle or that part of him that wants to rush to your aid rise up in him. That masculine nature rises up. So think about belly dancers, because I do take belly dance. I have taken belly dancing classes and sometimes I still do, because a lot of women hold pain or anger or trauma in their hips and in their sides or their waist. So you release it through belly dance. And this is a nice feminine expression or way of movement. So in belly dancing, we do a lot of this. So when I talk, I do a lot of this. And as I said in my video on poise, Chief Rod Hayes had said to me, you do a lot of this when you're speaking on your podcast and when you're speaking in general. And that may have been because in your former life or at another time, you may have held crystal balls, because women used to do that. Women used to see into the future. But ladies, if you don't know how to use your hands, try being graceful, practice it. So feminine in posture, feminine in gestures, and feminine in expression. What is a feminine expression? A feminine expression is actually, when you look at first ladies, one that's just composed, stable, confident, secure. Look at first ladies of countries and heads of states. They have a secure pose, just one stable looking pose where everything is just straight and they look confident, they look straight ahead, or they'll smile. So feminine in your expression is smiling. Smiling when you nod, smiling when you look at someone, and smiling when you're speaking. Because when you smile, you inspire the person to whom you're looking or at whom you're looking to smile. You inspire nature to laud you and applaud you when you smile. So, ladies, let's exude elegance and grace. Let's exude refined movements, refined posture, refined poise. Now, that, my darlings, was the introduction. Now, let's get into another way to exude elegance. I want you to write this down. We're going to talk about accentuating elegance in your accessory. Write it down. Dresses, scarves, shawls, handkerchiefs, and gloves. Okay. Let's start first with dresses. Thank you. Now, it goes without saying that historically speaking, dresses were for ladies. Now, I'm not going to get into politics or whether or not that's politically correct. Okay. But historically, ladies wore dresses in all different types of good evening, of all different types of cultures. But in our culture in America, and I would say in any Abrahamic religions, the reason why they wore dresses was because not only did it represent modesty and femininity, but there's a scripture in First Corinthians that says that a woman ought to wear garments that are different from a man, or a woman ought not to wear the garments that resemble a man. Now, I know that, you know, pants are for both men and women, but we're talking about historically speaking. And I'm coming from Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, in the 5th verse, that says that a woman must not wear that which pertain to a man, or garments which pertain to a man. And the way churches and religious organizations interpreted that was that women wore something that distinguished them from men. The reason why they chose the dress was because the dress was a garment that actually covered the legs. We usually wore long garments, traditionally speaking, that covered the legs because it wasn't appropriate to show skin. And the reason why it wasn't appropriate to show skin is because the skin of a woman, my darling, turns on a man. And we all know that. We can pretend like we don't know it. But the skin of a woman, the shape of a woman, it turns on a man. So in order to help our brothers not be too enticed or to touch us or to speak to us out of turn, then ladies wore long garments to cover their legs. And even at a time when men wore tunics or garments that looked like dresses, they wore them that were shorter than our dresses. And they wore certain designs that were different to distinguish the man from the woman. So the dress is a garment that helps a woman exude elegance and grace, because it's something about covering the body, covering the legs, that actually makes a man curious. In his mind, he's like, wow, I can only imagine what she looks like underneath. You know, that's different from being completely exposed. I did a video not long ago called Reserve Your Energy. And in that video, I talked about the importance of women not being common. Everybody else can act a certain way. All other women, worldly women, women without class, women without grace, women who are not refined, they can do what they desire to do. But graceful women, women who are composed, women who operate with comportment, women who are concerned about how they come across in the world, women that express modesty, and women that express having self-respect, operate differently. Okay, so my son often says that in a man's mind, and he said not even just in a man's mind, but a woman who exposes all of her body, and a woman who walks around in bikini and who exposes her breasts or all of her legs, wear short shorts. He said you're participating in pornography when you expose too much flesh or when you're half naked. And he said this is something that is not regarded as being safe and is not regarded as being self-respectful. So a lady has self-respect. This is why traditionally we wore dresses, because you covered your legs and a man will have to imagine what's underneath. He didn't see it all. You're not helping him to participate in pornography. Isn't that interesting? It's interesting the way women say we hate men watching pornography. They're nasty. They're dirty. We'll divorce them in a second. But we don't realize that if we're exposing our body, all of our goods, then we are also participating in pornography. Look up the word and you'll see what pornography means and whether or not you participate in it. So in order to exude elegance, ladies would wear dresses. And even now, many traditions still call on ladies to wear dresses because when you wear a dress, it causes you to walk more gracefully, more elegantly. You move and the dress moves with you. It not only covers you, but it moves with you and you flow. Because the woman or the feminine expression or the feminine energy is flowing. It moves gracefully. It moves methodically. Okay. It moves in a controlled manner. Also, a dress, speaking of modesty, helps you to keep your legs together rather than gaping your legs wide open and sitting in a manner in which men sit with your legs wide open, basically saying, I'm available, I'm easy, I'm free. So you want to keep your legs together. We talked about poise, sitting and standing in an elegant, refined manner for ladies. A dress will help you do that. And everybody knows that men absolutely adore sundress season because you move and flow with grace when you wear a dress. So we talked about how dresses historically were worn to cover you, and it was a symbol of modesty and a symbol of elegance. Let me see what somebody's saying. Oh, hi, you're from Cleveland. That's my hometown. I was born and raised in Cleveland. Good evening. I hope that I'm not boring you with this. I'm really determined to help my ladies become more graceful. So that was a dress. Now let's talk about scarves. If you desire to exude more elegance, then try to incorporate more accessories that would distinguish you from common women and from men. I can assure you that when you accentuate your elegance and your soft nature, that the whole world will respond to you so much differently. Everybody wants to be the same. Seems like people want to prove that they are equal to a man, that they can do the same things as a man. But when I tell you about these accessories, you will see why they separate you and make you more graceful. So let's talk about the scarf. I wore the scarf today. The scarf is a very, very, very important garment or accessory. Let's talk about history. Historically speaking, the scarf or a head covering represented or symbolized the woman having a covering over her life. The scarf, the head stole, represented a woman being protected and shielded from the world, from harm, from the adversary, from Satan, and yes, from other men. God, the God of the Bible, the God of Islam, the God of the Jews, was so serious about a woman having a covering that the scripture says that a woman may not even approach God in prayer unless her head is covered. She may not even prophesy or speak words of life to people and foretell their life or tell them about the trajectory of their life unless her head was covered in honor and reverence of her husband or her spiritual covering. For ladies of a certain age or marriage, ladies that were married, your Head covering represented that you were protected by a man. You were covered by a man. You were under the shield of a man, that you were safe because you had a man. For the young ladies, the damsels, the children, or the unmarried women, her father was her covering, or her uncles. So whenever she approached God in prayer, she had to wear her head covered. God was very, very serious about this. Let me show you how serious God is, or the word is. Let's look at First Corinthians, the 11th chapter, and the second verse. We're going to look at the second verse through the 16th verse. This is serious, because we keep hearing women say, I don't need a man. I'm going to show a man that I don't need him. I'm good without him. I can work. I can take care of myself. I'm saved. I don't need him. I don't need his phallus. I don't need his semen. I can have a toy. I don't need his guidance. I don't need his shield or his covering. But we don't recognize that doing that is a direct insult against the masculine principle, and it's an insult to God, because God created both male and female. So to say you don't need a man, to operate like you don't need a man, or that you disrespect a man, is showing God that you do not reverence him and what he created as to being the covering and protection over your life as a lady. Now, you need a man to protect you, again, not just from the wolves and the proverbial lions or beasts that are outside in the wild, but also from other men, because men by nature are dominant. They're conquerors, and some have not honed that in. Men are predators, but that's not a bad thing, because that predatorial nature is the same thing that inspires him or incites him to go hunt. It's what causes him to kill and delete the animals that scare you, the insects, the spiders, to go out and go to the door and go outside in the yard and chase away the thief. So wearing a head covering in prayer recognizes or acknowledges that you have a covering and that you respect the covering that God puts over you. And not only do you need a covering over your life to protect you from other men, but God gave us men to protect us from the adversary, from adversarial forces, from demonic spirits. Case in point, who beguiled Eve in the scriptures? It was a serpent. It was, the way we interpret it, it was a malevolent entity. The serpent didn't come to the man, because men cannot be beguiled and overtaken by some forces, whereas women can, because we're soft, we're feminine, we're receptive in our nature, and so we may be persuaded. However, men have a certain nature in them that they can't always be easily persuaded. They don't have that natural inclination to just accept and receive things. So you need a covering to shield you from demonic spirits. That man shields you from demonic spirits and demonic energies that can creep in and take over your emotions, your mind, your body, your life, ladies. You need a covering. So what does First Corinthians, the 11th chapter say? For every man who prays, I'm at the 4th verse. Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head, dishonors God. So if a man prays or prophesies with his head covered, he's dishonoring God, because God is his head. God is his covering. But every wife who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. She dishonors God. She dishonors her husband. She dishonors her spiritual leader. She's saying, I don't need you and I don't respect you. God is very serious about women having a covering. And this is why, ladies, we need to start recognizing and respecting the masculine principle. We need to start operating in our femininity so that men will step up and take care of us. But as long as you say, I don't need you, I disregard you, I don't respect you, I'm equal to you, I'm the same as you, I can do whatever you want to do, whatever you do, then a man has no reason to protect you, because you've essentially stated and exuded that you too are a man. Every wife who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, since it is the same as if her head were shaven. To have your head shaven is a state of shame. And that's why when conquerors go to different nations, they shave the men's head, they shave the women's head, they shave the children's head. They want you to be ashamed. They're saying, I conquered you. You have no covering. Operating in our masculine principle 100% as ladies, or walking around and talking to God in prayer without a covering or without acknowledging that we have a male in our lives or that men have a purpose, is bringing dishonor to the masculine principle and is bringing dishonor to God. For a wife will not cover her head. If a wife will not cover her head, then she should just go ahead and cut her hair off. This is how serious it is. So, hi. This is what we did traditionally. And in the Hebrew culture, women cover their heads. In the Christian culture, women wear a scarf, or they wear mantle pieces, or they wear shawls over their head. In the Baptist church, women wore hats. And in every tradition, in the Middle Eastern tradition, women wear scarves as well when they approach God or for liturgical purposes. And liturgical purposes means public worship. So when you're in the public or public worship, or in a public, you're worshiping God in a public manner, in a temple, or just outside or anywhere publicly, you should cover your head, because you're acknowledging that you have some type of protection and you're honoring God. However, and this isn't to shame anybody, I'm just saying how serious covering is to God. However, we've transitioned from that, although some traditions still cover their head, at least when you pray or prophesy or for public worship. But we also cover our head in order to protect it from the elements. Women cover their head at night to keep their hair together when we get our hair done. But in public, you cover your hair to protect it from the elements, and because it's a symbol of modesty. Your hair, your skin, all of that is supposed to be seen only by the husband in certain cultures. The husband is supposed to look at your hair as being pleasurable, historically and traditionally speaking. But nowadays, I would recommend, in order to exude or accentuate your elegance, try going outside with a scarf, because not only does it shield the elements, shield your hair from the elements, but it adds a pop of color. It adds style to your garments, and if you use certain fabrics, it exudes femininity. So that is why women historically have worn scarves. What else is on the list? Oh, handkerchiefs. Handkerchiefs. I love handkerchiefs. My grandmother used to have handkerchiefs, ladies. Handkerchiefs. I have handkerchiefs, different colors with different embroideries, different little patterns. I like the flowers because it's very feminine. So here are only 3 of the ones that I have. Here's a light blue one, a yellow one, and a lavender one. Why handkerchiefs? Handkerchiefs used to be used as a just an accessory to wipe the sweat from your brow and to blow your nose, to clean off a surface, maybe if you're out eating, to wipe your mouth. If you have something spilled on you, you could just take a little handkerchief, and it's very dainty. It's very feminine. You can also use it to dabble, put your lipstick on, but most women would choose to use that on a tissue. The reason why they chose these instead of tissues is because back then they were concerned about, in my grandmother's day, they were concerned about the environment. So while some of the ladies kept tissues or Kleenexes in their purses, they preferred handkerchiefs to wipe their forehead if they sweat, to again wipe their mouths, and also for times of mourning. So handkerchiefs are very, very good at funerals. So you can cry and dabble your makeup, not mess up your makeup. And it says to the world that I am very concerned about how, not only about the environment, but how I operate as a lady in public. My grandmother would hand wash her handkerchiefs, and then she would dry them or hang them up on the line and iron them. So yes, I actually ironed my handkerchiefs and my husband's handkerchiefs when my husband was alive, because it gives a very smooth surface, and you fold it and it just looks very elegant. Any comments so far? We're talking about how to accentuate elegance, class, grace, and sophistication and refinement. Getting back to the scarves, another reason why they wore scarves was actually to protect the neck from sweating. So women wore scarves to protect their neck from sweating, to absorb the sweat, and also to keep themselves comfortable and warm when it was cool outside. So we talked about scarves and we talked about handkerchiefs. In ancient Greece, they actually wore scarves and carried small scarves as a handkerchief, what we would call a handkerchief. And in ancient Greece, the word scarf actually is focale or sudarium, and it means sweat cloth or face cloth. So again, they kept it either over their head, around their neck, or they used it for sweat like I'm doing right now. Another way I would recommend ladies to use a scarf is to use it to accessorize your purse. So the other day I wore all gray, but I wanted to add a pop of color. So I just put a little pink. Can you see that little pink scarf on this gray purse? And you can use any color that you desire. It can symbolize how you're feeling for that day, or it could symbolize, let's see, flowers, or some women are a part of certain groups or sororities or different orders. So they would use that color just to alert other people who may be in the same, organization as they, that, hey, we're sisters. But I'm not a part of any specific sorority. I just happen to like pastel colors. So I will accentuate certain purses with a scarf. When you do this distinguishes you from other ladies, because again, there are so many women that dress like men, sit like men, walk like men, don't use accessories, and that's okay, but we're not common. We're elegant, we're graceful, we're refined, we're different. Here's another purse that I have that I accentuated with a small scarf. This is my black purse, and I just added this color. I think this is a little classy. This is silk, and you can wear it with, I wear it with blue or gold or red. And sometimes I'll use a scarf to accentuate my purse that's a whole different color. But maybe I just feel a little, a little different. And although the colors are different, I want to express myself in a certain way. So we talked about scarves, dresses, handkerchiefs, and shawls. Let's talk about shawls. This is a shawl. It's a piece of cloth, a long piece of cloth that women have historically used to cover their shoulders. You talk about something that's feminine. When you have a shawl, rather than walking around freezing, but you cover yourself with a beautiful piece of cloth, and you cover your shoulders so as to not expose your flesh, which is one of the main reasons the shawl came about. The origin of the shawl was to protect the shoulders so that you wouldn't expose flesh, because traditionally speaking, again, women didn't expose too much flesh so as to not excite men unless the man was her husband. So the shawl just represents grace, and you can tie it in front of you, you can wrap it around you, and I tell you, It just does something to a man to see a woman wrap herself, to see a woman show that she's covering her shoulders, that she also is maybe matching it with her garments, or she's expressing herself in a very dainty way. I would recommend you carry shawls in your purse so that if you're out, you're not shivering. You don't have to ask a man for his jacket, although if you choose to do so, that's okay. And you will just show that you're always prepared because a lady is always prepared. It's just another way to exude grace. We're talking about using certain decorative garments or accessories to highlight your femininity. The shawls, according to what I found, is a decorative garment that's used to accentuate or bring accent to an outfit, but it also operates again as a functional garment used to keep a lady warm. They had shawls that were made of mink. We still do. We have shawls made of silk. We have shawls made of cotton. Whatever linen, whatever fabric you choose is the fabric that you should use. But it again shows classiness. And what was the last thing? Shawls, scarves. Oh, shawls, scarves. What else? Oh, dresses. And let's see. Gloves. These are my favorite. I have gloves in many different colors. These are the ones that I have today. Red, black, white, gray, different colors. I keep them in a bag to keep them away from the elements, keep them safe so they won't get dirty or lost. Pinks, blues, all different colors. And yes, I wear gloves out, ladies. It distinguishes you from the others, from the other ladies. But gloves serve as a functional purpose. Gloves are dainty, they're elegant, and they keep your a lady's hand soft and smooth. So when you put lotion or oil, whatever you do to your hands, then you cover them before you go out. It also kept the lady from diseases. Wearing gloves kept you from diseases, and it kept your hands away from the elements, from getting too much exposure to the sun and to the wind, to the air. And it's a pop of color. It shows refinement and sophistication. Imagine going back to a time where we wear gloves out and where we decorate ourselves with gloves and accentuate, our outfits with our gloves. You talk about people raising their level of expectation of you as a lady. You talk about men opening doors because they see a woman with elegance and grace, and other women standing in awe of you as being so sophisticated and being a woman who cares about her skin to the extent that she covers it. Now, back in the day, I would say a lot of women wore gloves that even went all the way up their arms because they didn't want to expose their skin, because that was not being modest to expose your skin. So they would wear long gloves if they had short sleeves. Nowadays, women don't do that as much or at all, but we can get back to that. So yes, I have gloves, and yes, I wear gloves to tea. I wear gloves to meetings. I wear gloves to coffee. I wear gloves to go to the grocery store because I am a lady that cares about my skin. I care about my body. I care about my life. And I happen to appreciate femininity. And I also appreciate the masculinity in a man, because again, the more femininity you show and have, ladies, the more masculinity a man will exude. A man will step up to take care of you, to do things for you, because he sees you as being worthy of protected. As long as we see ourselves as equal to a man, doing the same things as a man, wearing the same garments of a man, not needing the covering of a man then we will be exposed to danger, and we will be exposed to the predatorial men, to the men who are not refined, the men who have not come into proper male manhood. So let's get back to being refined. Let's get back to carrying ourselves in such a manner that we have self-respect. Let's get back to having modesty, to coming across as unassuming. And what I mean by unassuming is you're not exposing all your goods to the world, because there is so much more grace in covering yourself. You garner so much more respect in having clothing to cover your shoulders, your hands, your legs, your breasts, your bottom, your private parts. Society has encouraged us to take off more and more clothing and expose more and more sin, and inspired us ladies to participate in pornography, inspired us to entice men in such a way to operate in their predatorial nature rather than their protective nature. So if you desire to be more graceful, to have more comportment or deportment, to be more refined and operate in a controlled, graceful manner that is aesthetically pleasing, then consider incorporating these elements that I spoke about in this lecture. Operating with poise in your posture, the way you sit, stand, and walk. Operating with poise in your gestures and mannerisms, the way you nod, the way you use your hands, the way you close your lips, or if you do speak, you speak with sweetness. Operating with poise in your posture, your gestures, and your expressions. Your smile on your face, the way you nod, the way you choose to speak with sweetness or not speak. Because remember, there's a wise saying that goes, only speak when speaking improves upon the silence. That used to be something that ladies understood or understood and overstood. We did not speak out of turn. We did not speak over a man. We did not yell, scream, shout, or use foul language. What I am doing is inspiring women to get back to our nature, our graceful, elegant, refined nature, so that we can raise proper children, and so that we can inspire men around us to choose us for marriage. For those of you who are marriageable or of marriage age, if you desire to be married, then you need to know the qualifications of marriage. What do men need? What do men desire? Men desire women who know how to be soft and feminine. Men desire women who are beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, who know how to accentuate their garments, who know how to accentuate their personal behavior, their mannerisms, and the way that they dress modestly, and the way that they move, and the way that they speak, and the things that they have to dabble the sweat on their brow, and the way that they accentuate their purses. Men reverence that. They are moved by color, beauty, pleasantness, sweetness, and softness. So ladies, that's it for today. I encourage you to incorporate these things back into your life. How to wear a shawl, how to use what used to be called a napkin or a handkerchief, how to keep it clean, make sure it coordinates with your outfit, how to accessorize, how and when to cover your head. Definitely when you pray or prophesy, if you are from an Abrahamic religion, or if you desire to go out in style and to look elegantly, to keep your hair in place and to keep it shielded from the elements. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I said something to raise your vibrations, ladies, and inspire you to create and live the most amazing life that you desire and deserve. Do we have any questions or comments? or anything that somebody wants to bring to my attention or to the attention of our family. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Adrana. It's my great pleasure. She says, great topic. Thank you. We need to hear more about this. You're welcome. Let me tell you, my grandmother was such a classy lady. She did all of the things about which I'm speaking, and I modeled myself after her. She was so respected. She passed away, I want to say, in the 90s, about 95, and still to this day, people speak so highly of her as if she were a celebrity. So I looked up to her. I didn't have idols or celebrities to look up to. I saw my grandma walk in a graceful manner. I saw her sit with poise in a good posture. I saw her move with grace and elegance. I saw her smile. And if she didn't have a kind word to say, she chose to say nothing at all. I never heard her use foul language. I saw her cover her hands to make sure they were protected from the elements. I saw her do all these things about which I'm speaking. And that was not only the way she carried herself, but many ladies in the community, especially the married ladies. There were certain things you did or you should do as a lady to acknowledge that I have the covering of a man. I have a husband to protect me. Or if I don't have a husband, I have a father, I have a grandfather, I have a spiritual covering, a pastor, an imam, some type of leader to watch over me. This is very important for a lady, covering your body, covering your head when you approach God, covering your hands, to protect, show that you're protected. It's not about control, it's about protection. Every lady is supposed to have protection. God created the masculine or the man to protect the ladies. So again, to not do some of these things is a gross disrespect against the creator who created both the feminine and masculine principle and the male and the female genders. So the law of gender is a universal principle. And the law of gender states that all things are either masculine or feminine. We have both genders operating synergistically together. That is a universal law, a universal principle. So let's get back to being graceful and elegant and refined so that we can garner the respect from the opposite sex and from the world, even your children. And grandchildren will look up to you in a different manner when you carry yourself in such a way that you show class and self-control. These things take discipline, and it shows that you have self-control over your life, over your flesh, over your emotions. And that's very, very critical, especially if you are in the age of being married, because a man looks at a woman that carries herself in a controlled manner as being marriageable. Remember, the scripture says that a woman should be a help meet for him, a help worthy of him, a help prepared for him. Our purpose is to not only bring life, but to serve men in a certain way, your husband, to nurture children, to take care of the children, to also take care of the young. If you're an elder lady or you're a woman of a certain age like I am, it's my job to take care of the breastfeeding ladies, the fertile ladies, the young ladies who are newly married, the young maidens who have not been married. It is my job to teach them and to provide some type of covering, not in a masculine way, but in a way where they can look up to me as their elder. So they need to see that I have encapsulized, or I have taken upon myself to do certain things to show that I revere and respect a masculine principle, covering myself, being elegant and refined. Now, of course, there's always a temptation when it's hot to, take off clothes, show a little flesh, expose a little cleavage. But we have to remember that we have young ladies looking up to us, and it is not our desire to be pornographic. We don't want to aid in the the consumption of pornography. And as long as we're exposing all of our goods for the world to see, then we're participating in pornography. And we don't want that. We want to get back to a world where there's men and women. There's a way for a man to operate, and there's a way for a lady to operate. There's a way for a man to think and behave and conduct business, and there's a different way for a woman to think, behave, and to conduct business. So even if you're young and you're marriageable and you're looking to get married, incorporate some of these things and see if a man won't turn his eye to you, because you'll be doing something completely different from what he sees in the world. You'll show that you're not common, that you're modest, that you're special, unique, and different. And people will start calling you queen, lady, sister, goddess, miss. I've always had that. I've always had people call me Miss Kia, Mama Kia, Queen, Lady Kia, Sister Kia, Auntie Kia. Put a handle on it. You don't have to say it. You don't have to demand a respect. You can command it in the way that you carry yourself with style and grace, ebb and flow, and controlled mannerisms. So that's it, lady. I'm going to leave certain articles in the description section of my Rumble channel and my YouTube channel. I encourage you to please follow my YouTube channel, because we're going to talk about refinement and elegance and grace more often. We're going to talk about etiquette. We're going to talk about social graces and how to carry yourself and conduct yourself as a lady, a woman, a mother, a wife, a sister even, okay? So pay attention to my Dr. Kia Pruitt YouTube channel, and also be on the lookout for me to give more information about some of the other lessons that I'll bring into the future soon. So I'll bring that to your attention. I appreciate you so much. I love you. And I realize this is completely different from me talking about geopolitics and what's going on in the world, talking about why you need to pay attention to different behaviors and presidents and what's going on economically and what's going on financially. This is a bit different because it is my desire to inspire women to get married, and to inspire women that are not married to bring your family together, to restore the family in the best way that you can, to exude elegance and grace so that we can be treated with the respect that we deserve. So it's my desire to restore families. And one of the best ways to have legacy and to build wealth is through families. So yes, I am on a campaign to get us back to having a marriage culture so that we can bring balance to the universe. All these years of the men and women being separated and on their own, and just having a bunch of sex, but not really showing love and not coming together to create a home, to have stable environments for our children. It's over. We're done with that. Now we're talking about moving into a golden age where we want a strong, healthy society. But as I always say, strong, healthy societies are built upon strong, healthy communities, and strong, healthy communities are built upon strong, healthy families. And a strong, healthy family can only be brought about if you as an individual is a strong, healthy person. And that's why I have videos out on self-actualization, emotional intelligence, how to communicate properly, how to keep your emotions under control, how to behave in a certain manner, how to operate in synergy, how to work interdependently with your companion, all of these things, how to operate at your highest state, your highest self, so that you reach what I call transcendence, where you are highly self-actualized, maximizing your potential as a human being or as a person, and then teaching others to do the same. All of these videos that I have and that I've compiled over the years is to help you live to be your highest self, the highest version of you, so that when and if you marry, you can contribute to a loving, wholesome home, and you will produce loving, wholesome children. But even if you desire not to get married, or you never get married, you can live the best amazing, most joyous life that you've ever imagined. If you stick with Dr. Kia Pruitt and you encapsulate or take in the lessons, I promise you, you will become a very highly evolved, joyous person. That's it, everybody. I love you. I'll talk to you probably in the morning. We'll talk about something else as it refers to elegance and feminine grace. You're welcome. Sister Emma says, so true. Thank you for sharing. It's been my pleasure. Goodbye. I love you, family. Bye.